Hey girlies, welcome back to the Imani Forrester channel. As you know, Imani Forrester is the author of 30 Reasons Why Men Deserve Nothing, which you can find in the description box below. I'm Shanice. I hope that for those who celebrate, you had a happy First Peoples Day, a happy Thanksgiving, or a good turkey day, hopefully without the butterball turkeys. I hope you spent it with people who you actually enjoy and who love and respect you. Lastly, part of us centering ourselves is to not feel forced to take on labor that you don't want to take on, especially if that labor and effort is never reciprocated. Holiday season is often so rife with male weaponized incompetence, entitlement, selfishness, etc. But in this instance, a woman has had enough and she's finally drawn a line in the sand. So this article comes from people.com about a fed-up woman who decided to uninvite an entitled and rude male family member. The article is called "Woman Uninvites Cousin from Family Thanksgiving for Disrespectful Behavior, Including Rating Her Food as He Eats" by Sarah Belcher. So a woman has elected to uninvite a cousin from this year's Thanksgiving dinner after his consistent childlike behavior. Though her family doesn't agree it was the right move. Seeking advice on Reddit, the woman explains that Thanksgiving is held at her house every year. Though the whole family is usually in attendance, she writes that she doesn't want to invite her cousin, who is a 29-year-old male but acts about 6. The party starts at 3 p.m., but he arrives prior to noon, she explains. This would not be a big deal, but he spreads himself out on the couch, takes off his stinky shoes, and watches TV. He also acts like I am his servant just because I am hosting and requests water and snacks while he sits on his fat butt. As if showing up to dinner 3 hours early isn't enough, she details that his behavior when the other guests show up is disrespectful and doesn't stop when the dinner is over. At dinner, he chews with his mouth open and talks loudly over everyone. He takes seconds before anyone gets firsts and thirds before anyone gets seconds, which really isn't a big deal since I have lots of food but still is disrespectful, she continues. He also rates the food I make out loud and critiques it. The poster shares that not only does this behavior continue through dinner, but he then insists he spend the night at her place because he claims it is too long of a drive. My husband and I try to make the best of it, but he's always drunk and snores so loud during the night, she writes. Plus, his breath smells and he vomits everywhere. Ultimately, after dealing with this behavior for 6 Thanksgiving dinners, she says that she elected not to invite him this year. I did not invite him, but invited everyone else. They all asked why, and I explained myself saying that if he wanted to act like an adult, he could still come, but he refuses, saying it is just how he is, and I should learn to love him for it. The poster continues. The comments on the post are decidedly on the woman's side, affirming that requesting basic table manners during Thanksgiving shouldn't be a deal breaker for most people. He's a terrible guest. If you want to be invited somewhere, it's common sense and basic decency to make yourself an appealing addition to the gathering, one commenter writes. Any family members who whine about him not being invited should be immediately told they are more than welcome to host their own dinner with the guest list of their choosing. Are you sure he wouldn't invite himself? Another poses. With this personality, it's a very possible outcome because he knows decent people are too polite and don't want confrontations. So that's the end of the article. As women, we're often just expected to put up with shit, and even family members feel so entitled to our labor. Okay, so the majority of the comments are on the poster's side, but I want to highlight a few particular comments that really boiled my blood. So Barbara wrote, "It's because he's family," by people who aren't doing the work. He's even admitted it's just the way he is. You have to learn to love me. I'd have stopped letting him come 4 years ago. Some people use family as an excuse to get away with behavior they know wouldn't fly with anyone else. They try to guilt you into putting up with it just because you're related, especially with women. They'll take advantage of the socialization of women to be accommodating, placating, and try to weaponize your emotions and sense of duty to family to push boundaries you've already made clear. But let's be clear, if someone is crossing lines you've set, you're not obligated to put up with it just because you're related. People fan says, he would have only made it 1 year at my house. Bye-bye. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. This comment pissed me all the way off. Sarah says, sounds like a cry for help. This person is family. Where's everyone the other 364 days a year for this person? And thank goodness there were people who were kind enough to explain to this individual exactly why that doesn't matter. So Scorpio Tiger says, a cry for help by the OP, you mean? This cousin has behaved badly 6 years running at this family gathering for Thanksgiving. Presumably, this is not isolated behavior and they repeat it at other family gatherings. This cousin presumably had other relatives present at each of the past Thanksgiving events. His parents. That would be aunt and uncle to OP. I'd hazard a guess that it is they who have objected to this adult not getting an invite this year. As Thanksgiving is not a celebrated event here in the UK, I fail to understand why this has fallen on one family to host for the past 6 years, rather than rotating it. Perhaps if other family members had taken their turn, they may feel a little different about this boy man's behavior. If it happened at an event I hosted in my home, I would have had serious words with him the morning after when he stayed over unexpectedly the first time. He would have heard, in no uncertain terms, what my opinion of his behavior the previous day was. He would have been on warning for the next event in my home, as would his parents. and any repeat would have resulted in him having to find a hotel for the night, pronto. Like, I had to actually applaud at the end of reading this, because it sounds like the rest of the family members are no better if they are actually encouraging this pattern of behavior from this nearly 30-year-old man. By expecting her to put up with it, they're literally supporting his learned helplessness. If you're his parents, it was your responsibility to teach him how to behave, how to act appropriately when he's invited somewhere, or how to control himself so he doesn't drink to the point of being unable to drive home. These are fundamental responsibilities you were supposed to instill in him. If this is the cry for help Sarah is purporting it to be, then let his parents help him. Or maybe he needs professional help. Either way, it's not the job of a female cousin with her own family to fix what his parents neglected. Even if he has issues, it doesn't make it another person's responsibility to try to fix him. Far too often, people with poorly raised sons love to make him everyone else's problem. Okay, so here's the last comment that I'm going to read. Emmy replied, "Yes, the 29-year-old male may be crying for help. I can see your point, but sometimes tough love is needed, and this could be the kick in the pants he needs." So I'm going to end it here. For anyone out there who needs to hear this, please know that it is not required of you to put up with behavior that you've already established boundaries on. You already know if a male family member had been hosting the dinner and uninvited somebody for the same reason, he wouldn't even be questioned about it. I don't know if people are quite prepared for women setting boundaries, taking back our labor, and overall becoming less tolerant. But based on some of these stories that we're seeing, there's definitely a shift. And I want to see more stories of women taking their power back. As the holiday season is really ramping up, I expect to see a lot more of these stories. But that's going to be all for now. Thanks so much for watching this video. Please leave a like, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave your thoughts in the comments section below. I'll see you in the next one.